Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and today's video is part 1 of a detail series on this black 2020 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. This car was actually a demo vehicle that was bought with 200 kilometers on the clock by the new owner just a few weeks prior to bringing the car to me, so it's technically not a brand new vehicle, but it's also not that far off. Now, I kid you not that the owner was actually considering repainting the whole vehicle before he came to me, as he was just appalled at how bad the paint was and thought it was just too far gone for a simple detail to bring it back. I'm not going to lie in saying that this was actually the worst paint I've ever seen on a vehicle this new. And I also couldn't believe or understand how a car that's only a couple of weeks old with a couple of hundred Ks on the clock can have so many defects. Since it was a bright sunny day here in Melbourne when I took delivery of the car, I decided to do a pre-inspection detail outside and let the sunlight tell the story. Now, as you guys have a closer look at the paint, hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about, as every square inch of this car is covered in quite significant swirls and scratches, as well as water spots, bug edgings, scuffs, and the strange thing is that someone has also definitely polished this car quite recently, as there's also buffer holograms everywhere. Additionally, the owner told me that the car was actually ceramic coated a few weeks ago, with apparently a top tier dealership coating that's meant to last 10 years. We'll talk more about that later, but basically the only concern or areas of this car that the owner wanted addressed is the exterior paint. So that's what my sole job on this black Camaro will be. But after inspecting the paint, I also knew that this car just wasn't going to qualify for a basic new car enhancement polish and coating, as the paint was just too far gone for that. And I'll also add that as bad as it looks on camera, it was actually way worse in person, to put things into perspective. So the car was booked in for a full preparation and minor paint correction process with a new ceramic coating to seal the finish. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the owner is really only interested in restoring and protecting the paint, so he's not opted for any additional services such as wheel, glass, engine bay, or interior cleaning and protection. But I'm still going to give the wheels and glass a good basic clean, and depending on how I go with time, I'll always try to do as much as I can to get the car as a whole looking its best. Because no matter how great the car looks in the end, if the other trims are dirty or lacking in appearance, it's always going to detract from the paint. So as per usual, I'm starting this detail off with the wheels. I'm using an all-purpose cleaner to treat the wheel wells and tyres, and a wheel cleaner for the rims. I'm going to scrub the inner wheel wells and tyres while the wheel cleaner starts to break down the brake dust and road grime on the rims. Then I'll rinse the whole wheel area down, reapply my wheel cleaner, and use wheel brushes and a mitt to give the rims a good, thorough clean. Next is the pre-soak foam. I'm using a decontamination car wash detergent in my foam lens to start this strip down process of the paint. The aim here with this whole decontamination process is to get the paint as clean and bare as possible. So with decontamination snow foam is a great way to start to soften and dislodge the existing dirt on the vehicle, but also start to break down more stubborn grime, such as mineral deposits, environmental fallout, road tar, and importantly, any existing paint protection in place, as ideally I want all of that gone by the time this process is complete. So a good strip car wash detergent is completely safe, but when applied over the vehicle and left to dwell for a good 10 minutes, it's a great way to get the ball rolling. The first initial pressure rinse down is the most important one. I'll usually spend another good 5 to 10 minutes here really ensuring my pressurized water beam goes over every inch of the exterior and removes as much grime as humanly possible. The decontamination snow foam helps loosen the grime, but it's the pressure washer that actually removes it. So it's important to understand that relationship and make the most of it, as it not only helps lift surface contamination, but it also makes the hand wash stage far more effective and safe. I also want you guys to look at the water behaviour while I rinse the car down, remembering that it was ceramic coated just a few weeks ago with a top performing 10-year durable dealership coating. So next is the hand wash stage. Now based on what I saw with the water behaviour during the rinse step, there is certainly some hydrophobic behaviour on the paint, but it's nothing even remotely close to a high performing ceramic coating that's only a few weeks old. Additionally, the coating already seems to be failing in certain areas like the bumpers and lower trims where the water is starting to pool and not sheet off. Generally when I'm trying to strip a wax or sealant off automotive paint, I'll start by using a 1 to 10 dilution of the same decontamination car wash soap that I used in my foam lens, but this time I'll use it in a spray bottle with my wash mitt. In most cases this will strip off a natural wax and even an older sealant, but it may not strip off a fresh or high performing spray sealant, and it's certainly nowhere near aggressive enough to strip off anything like a high performing ceramic coating. So I firstly sprayed it over the bonnet to test it out and washed the panel as normal with my wash mitt before rinsing it down. As you guys will hopefully see, the coating's water behaviour was totally killed by my strip car wash detergent. Now I'd like to tell you that I was surprised to see the dealership coating's positive water behaviour completely killed by a decontamination car wash detergent. but unfortunately it wasn't surprising in the least. There is absolutely no way known to man that a quality ceramic coating that has been correctly applied just a few weeks ago could have its water behaviour killed by a simple strip car wash detergent, even at a 1 to 10 dilution. In fact, this detergent, and many others like it, are used to reset and revive a quality ceramic coating by giving it a good, thorough, deep clean. But I've seen the same thing happen time and time again whenever I get a car in with a dealership coating. It's just absolute rubbish, and the fact that they charge thousands of dollars for this is just criminal. I guarantee you that if you buy a half decent spray sealant and apply it yourself, it will last way longer and perform far better than just about any dealership coating. So please guys, save your money, and if you do want a true quality ceramic coating properly applied, then put that money towards a reputable detailer who's going to use a quality coating and spend at least a day or two preparing the car rather than an hour or two with a $10 ceramic coating like most dealerships do. Now, from my perspective in detailing this car, it actually makes my job easier having a low grade coating on the car that comes off like a breeze. So I'm not complaining there. It's just that these dealership coatings hurt the reputation of honest detailers that do the right thing, and they hurt coatings in general when people think that a dealership coating is what all ceramic coatings are like. Now the other plus about this car was that there was no sign of any environmental fallout on the paint, or any more stubborn or trapped dirt and grime to remove in any trims or other areas. So as I've mentioned many times in the past, if you can't see or feel any fallout on the paint, there's just no need to use harsher chemicals or even automotive clay, because it's simply a waste of time and added aggression on the paint for no reason whatsoever. So after inspecting the paint and being satisfied that it looked, felt and behaved like clean bare paint, the car was dried off and put into the paint correction bay. As I mentioned earlier, the whole purpose of this decontamination wash process is to get the paint as clean and bare as possible. So an alcohol-based IPA wipe down is the best way to end that process, to remove any lingering detergent or chemical residue as well as any water mineral streaks in the finish. The added benefit is that it also allows you to measure and inspect the paint prior to correction without any foreign matter that could mask or compromise those steps. Next was measuring the existing paint. I have to say that the overall thickness on this 2020 Camaro was impressively and almost suspiciously thick, with an average reading of approximately 300 microns, and many readings even higher than that. It's quite uncommon to see such high thickness measurements on any new car, though it does happen occasionally. Now, after further measuring and more closely inspecting the whole car, I couldn't see anything that would suggest that the paint wasn't all original, as it was quite consistent throughout, with even the orange peel and colour matching across the board. So it just looks like that for some reason this particular ZL1 got a lot of paint applied at the factory. I recently did a 2018 SS Camaro, which had average readings of about 150 microns, and I have done some older Camaros in the past, so I know 300 microns isn't common for these cars, but every now and then I see irregularities in paint from all sorts of car manufacturers, so it's not like it never happens, it's just a bit uncommon. Now, the other thing to point out is that the readings in the door jambs were also very high, at about 200 to 250 microns, which tends to indicate that a lot of the overall paint thickness may actually be the base coat, which again is very uncommon. In most cases, the primer and base coat tend to be about a third of a new car's paint thickness, so the clear coat usually makes up 2/3 or more of the overall thickness. But on this car, it seems like it's more like a 50-50 split, or even 60% base coat to 40% clear coat. Now, since the readings are so high, it still means that this car has a decent amount of clear coat, but without doing a little investigation, you could be fooled into believing that there's a lot more clear coat than you think, which doesn't seem to be the case. Next was the pre-correction inspection. There's no other way to put it other than saying that in over 25 years of detailing, this is the worst new car paint I've ever seen. Now, if this car was even a few years old, I could accept and say that I've seen worse. But for a car to be only a few weeks or even a few months old and have so many quite significant paint defects is just on a new level for me. Apart from the fine to moderate swirls all over the car, there's lots of deeper, random, isolated scratches that do appear in so many places. Beyond that, there's also some definite bird poo etchings, especially on the front bumper, and lots of water spot etchings everywhere, which brings up the question of how this could have happened so quickly on a new car. You'll also see a handful of paint chips in a few select areas that aren't rock chips, and a little ding on the lower edge of the driver door. I also discovered 2 buffer burn marks on both of the side skirts, where someone has clearly rotary polished too aggressively, and random buffer holograms on a few select panels. All of this just tells a story of a lot of mistreatment and lack of care surrounding this car, and also starts to set off some alarm bells in my head that there's got to be more to it as to how and why this paint is so bad, which may not entirely be about how it's been treated, but may also have something to do with this specific paint on the car itself. Well, that's it for part 1 of this Camaro ZL1 series. I'll leave you guys with me masking the trims to protect them during the polishing, and I hope you guys stay tuned for part 2, which will be the paint correction process. And without giving too much away, I can tell you that it was one heck of a challenge and journey. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please share this video, like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.